Now, the last but not least, we have mental suffering. Mental suffering comes from our anxiety, fear, hatred, aversion, and so on and so on. Okay? Normally, how do we experience our own inner states of suffering? As if, okay, another way. When we are sad, when we feel fear, when we have anxiety, and so on. Normally, is it because we simply have these emotions, that is something that depends on us, that we need to change from within, or I am sad because something happened? How do we see it normally? As a result of the world that is around us, or as something that is coming from within? Okay, the same question another way. What happens inside is a result of what happens outside, or what happens outside is a result of what happens inside? Or no? Maybe both together. That's a better answer, actually. Okay. With this, let's go just to the second step to understand better. Why do we suffer? When we suffer, normally, do we point the finger towards something or someone or not? Normally, yes. No. One time a friend told me a saying, I don't know from which culture, but it says, remember that whenever you point one finger to the other, there is three fingers pointing towards you. No. But the point is that normally, why do we suffer? Where do we project the causes of our suffering? In the internal world or in the external world? External, right? Making it simple, if everything was the way how it's supposed to be, I would be completely happy. Right? So, if everybody did what they are supposed to do, if everybody acted in the way how they are supposed to act, if everybody had the feelings towards me that they are supposed to have, if everybody followed the things how they are supposed to do, if the world was perfect, I would be happy. So it's not me to blame that I am angry. It's just a result because people are not doing what they are supposed to do, or things are not in the way how they are supposed to be. It's not my fault that I feel sadness. It's because things are not the way how they are supposed to be. It's not my fault that I am feeling anxiety, or it's not my fault that I feel fear, or I am jealous, or I am envy. I don't like to be jealous. I know that it's not good, but look what the other one is doing. Okay? So normally we act as if we were a victim of the world. And if the world was different, simply everything would be fine. But I understood something when I was around between 15 and 16 years. Actually thinking, well, a little bit more, I think, because thinking of the moment, I think I was 17, 18 at the time. I understood the following. Problems exist and will always exist. Because normally what happens? When one problem finishes, what's the rule? At least one more starts, right? And what happens when one problem finishes and no problem starts? We create one. Okay? That's what happens normally, right? So basically, when I understood this, not conceptually but more deeply, and I said, wow, problems exist and will always exist, so good. I can finally relax. Because until then, I was living my life trying to make everything perfect. And I was thinking, when this will be fixed and that will be fine, I will be happy. When that other thing will be like this and the other thing will be like that, then I will be happy. But what's the actual truth? That there is always something that is not right. And even worse, when everything is right, we see them as if it was not right. No? When we have a real strong problem in our life, I don't know if everyone has gone through real strong problems like sicknesses, or real difficult economical situation, or being in real danger, and so on, which luckily not so many people go through these things. But when we have a moment when we have a real strong suffering, do we bother ourselves with the little things? No. What happens when we don't have real suffering? We start creating them. We start bothering, oh, I have a pimple here. My hair is getting white. I'm not saying these are not problems, okay, but there are other things in life that when they come, we don't give so much attention to that. But the very point which I want to bring is the following. Do we always suffer for the same things or not? Are there situations with which before we used to suffer and now we don't suffer anymore? Let's say yes. Are there things that before we used to make us happy and now we are not happy with it anymore? Also. So what is this showing to us? That the external situations by themselves cannot make us happy or cannot make us suffering. It depends the way how we relate to the world. That's fundamental. Sometimes the very same situation, when we change perspective, it changes from good to bad, from bad to good. So this comes to the following point. We are unable to perceive anything, independently of ourselves. Everything that we see is a reflection of who we are, of the way how we relate to the world, of how we experience things, of our own perspective, from where I look, how I see. And even the past can change when we change perspective. For example, I always imagine this situation. I think in Brazil it's more probable. In Holland more difficult. But let's say we're walking in the road and suddenly come a person that we have never seen from the side, from our back, and pushes earth very hard. We fall on the floor, break our arm. Okay? Like an exposed fracture. Really bad. Then, okay, comes the ambulance, takes us to the hospital, and so on. As we are there in the bed of the hospital, what type of feeling we have towards the person that pushed us? Attraction, aversion, indifference? We have aversion, right? So not only our arm is painful, but we have mental suffering, saying, why this person did this to me, who was that person, I didn't do anything towards him, why is that, and when I catch him I will do this or I will do that, and I will call my lawyer, I don't know. Whatever is the way of what we are thinking, I will make him pay for what he did. We are all on that process, okay? Which is suffering. Then at a certain point comes the police. And the police comes and shows us a video from a security camera showing what happened. And what had happened was that behind us that we couldn't see, there was a robbery with a gun. And a man shot in our direction. And the guy that was near to us, he saw it. And he pushed us in order for us not to get killed. Okay? And he saved our lives. So once we see this and the police come and say, oh, you look how good what happened to you. You are lucky to be alive. And we go back to the place and we see the bullet on the wall in front of us near to where we were walking. Now, what feeling we have towards the person that pushed us? Gratitude? Hopefully. Our arm is still painful, but the perspective changed. So what I want to say is that everything that we perceive, it comes through us and the perspective from which we watch and we see and we experience. So, basically, what creates us suffering, going directly to the point, is not the external conditions. Because if it was like this, I can tell you, everyone here should be completely always happy. Because are the material conditions enough or not? The conditions are wonderful. Actually, the life of every one of us is quite perfect. It's a matter of us knowing how to live it in this way or not. So where is actually suffering coming from? From our ignorance, from our selfishness, which is the obsession with the self-gratification, our anxiety, attachment, unlimited desire, insatisfaction, hatred. Okay? And from all the attachments, I believe one of the greatest form of causes of suffering is what? Is the attachment to reality the way how we think it should be. We create expectations, we project how things should be, and what happens when they are not in the way how we think they should be? We get upset. So I believe that suffering is coming much more from an inner state than an outer cause. Okay? What happens around us is just the condition through which we manifest our anger, our jealousy, our fear, and so on. Okay?